to welcome you all to this event tonight, and we have 80 people signed up. I know most of you know you're here at Transforming Lives, and Transforming Lives is started as a very simple program. We wanted to give those incarcerated the opportunity to write and tell their stories, and use writing as a way to think about the future in a very dark situation. And then the second thing that happened with this program was all of us meeting one another, all of us from very different worlds and very different cultures meeting one another. And I want to read this statement from Clint Smith, who's a contributor at The Atlantic and a poet. Part of the purpose of a prison is to render the people inside as abstractions, rather than mothers and fathers, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters who are loved and who love in this world. If you do not understand someone as an abstraction, if you only understand someone as an abstraction or caricature, then you allow things to be done to them because you don't see them as humans. And I think that's become another really important part of this program, is for us all to start to see each other as humans through our stories. And we have some really amazing speakers tonight, and we're going to try and go fast because we only have an hour. And the first half, they will each speak for about 3 minutes, and then we will do a Q&A. The first person who's supposed to be here is my friend Jabaris Dove. Jabaris, unfortunately, had to go to work tonight because he's created a new business since he got out of prison 6 months ago. So I want to read you what he wrote to us. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that I could not be here. However, I have learned the power of the written word. So in reality, the best pieces of me are with you all as I read you my thoughts. My name is Jabaris Dove, and after 26 years, I was released last July 13th. My re-entry has been so many things. I'm aware of how fortunate I am to receive a second chance at exploring the magnificent wonder that comes with being alive. But there is that gnawing at my conscience that I left behind so many friends who will never experience a second chance. Am I more deserving of the liberty than them? But that's an entirely different topic. The topic is not home for the holidays. My first Christmas was not how I remembered it. 27 years ago was filled with excitement, an enormous tree, gifts littered the floor, and then there was the presence of those whom I loved. But after being in prison for the majority of my life, I developed friendships with the brothers who I was in with. These brothers have become my family. We gave each other gifts. Well, the gifts were somewhat cheesy, but they were gifts. I gave soaps away a lot. I did this because my last name is famous. Unfortunately, I ain't. Guys in prison love Dove soap. One of my brothers gave me a meal for Christmas, crack wraps. The background behind the name is too long to explain, but the meal is ramen, cheese, sweet peppers, mayo, hot peppers, and lettuce. The ingredients seem simple, but there's a skill. I tried to make it and I failed. There's going to be a sad, odd tad now, but my first Christmas home this year, there were no gifts from anyone. However, I got emails from my brothers who were behind bars. So to what level of humanity do their actions speak? This is not a question that should be answered, but more just a statement to think upon. My life has been moving in the direction that I planned, but I want to help the brothers I left behind because I know firsthand how life is while being incarcerated. Each and every day, I'm hustling to build my life and to assist those who always made my Christmas filled with family celebration and happiness. Jabbar has started a business where he is helping at-risk youth through physical education and mentoring, and that's where he is with tonight. That's who he's with tonight. So after Jabbar, the second person who's going to speak is Jose Saladana. Jose was incarcerated for 36 years. He went 4 times before the parole board, which gave him 8 extra years. He was always considered a great mentor and a gentle giant in prison. It's very hard for me to imagine why he was possibly there. But Jose, you're going to speak to us tonight about your family and incarceration, right? And
Yes,
also, I'm sorry, will you tell about the organization you run now?
of course. Well, first, let me speak a little bit about my family life in prison. When I was arrested, I was a father of 4 young children, ages 1 through 8. They had no idea. It's just beyond their imagination. And we know kids have a wide range when it comes to imagination, but this was beyond their imagination that they will be spending the next 38 years of their lives visiting me in prisons across the state. And the first 10 years were the most difficult years because they just couldn't make sense of it. They blamed their mother. They may blame everybody but me. But and this was a critical period in their lives because at this point, at this time, children suffering from having an incarcerated parent were not even included it wasn't included as an adverse childhood experience. That will come years later. But I will tell you that an event that really opened my eyes to the suffering that they were going through. My youngest daughter came to visit me while she was starting college and told me how much she despised me. Those are her words. And for years she kept it to herself. She had no one to talk to about this. And every time she wanted to talk to me, she couldn't because I was in prison. And when I told her that, how could you despise me? Even while I was in prison, I'm trying to do the best I can for her, to be the best father I can still be. And then I explained to her that I was set up. I took the easy way out, played the innocent card. And she just looked at me and said, what does all that mean to a little girl who just wants her daddy home? That At that point, I started realizing that my children were actually suffering as a result of my incarceration. It wasn't until years later that she revealed to me that they had made a pact while they were teenagers that none of them would have children for fear that their child or children would go through the same thing that they have went through. Today, that harm is still a part of her life. So this is what was starting out before I was denied parole. Now, as they became a part of me trying to get out on parole, writing letters for me, going to churches with my wife, having the pastor write letters, even having their teachers write letters. They just knew that all this that they were doing for me, that I would get out of prison. And as I was being denied, 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 this resurrected every feeling that they've had growing up without me. And today there is such a thing that children with incarcerated parents are recognized that that is an adverse childhood experience. But they refuse to go to any of these programs. They still deal with it in silence, although they're opening up to me a little more than they've ever have done. So this is an experience that children suffer for a lifetime. And the longer the person is in prison, the more harm is done to children who were really born innocent. Now, I am the director of the Release Aging People in Prison. And I see men just like me going through the same ordeals with their children, trying to understand, trying to give some meaning to everything that's going on in their lives. And when I was released from prison 4 years ago, after 38 years, I left those men behind. Some have already passed away. And I just couldn't, in good conscience, even though I wanted to be so much a part of my grown children and their children, because my youngest had a daughter, and both of my youngest had a daughter. The two oldest refused to have children. They still hold on to that vow they made when they were teenagers. But I'm getting to know everybody now as adults. But I just couldn't just go on with my life as if the men that I've made, broke bread with for years and decades, walked the yard, went to schools, made everywhere we go a classroom. I couldn't just go on with my life as if they didn't exist. So this is why I do what I do, in trying to get more men and women released from prison, because I know that prisons not only are they an extension of slavery, they are genocidal when it comes to the families. They destroy families for generations, and to me that's genocidal. So this is what we do. We advocate for two bills that will bring more people home at an age where they can still be productive and not a liability, at an age where they can still enjoy some time with the family. And being frank, some men who are still languishing in prison are more deserving than I am of being returned to their family. I know their value as human beings, and this is why I am a part of this movement to free our elders and everybody in prison doing a long-term prison, because I don't believe that people should languish in prison for 38 years. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Jose.
Jose, I've already put the links in the group chat. So if anyone is interested to sign up with the People's Campaign for Parole Justice or with RAP campaign, it's in the chat.
Thanks. Now we have our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Fernandez. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm here as a representative of We Got Us Now. It's a national nonprofit that was built by, led by, and about children of incarcerated parents. I'll make sure to add a link when I'm done speaking. First, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this evening. The reality is that no one speech or event can fully capture each of our own personal journeys with incarceration. But in an effort to give you a glimpse of the experience of children of incarcerated parents, tonight I will be sharing parts of my story with you. I'm one of 3 children born and raised in East New York, Brooklyn. Although my neighborhood for years has been plagued by crime, I was privileged to grow up in a 2-story family house surrounded by loving neighbors who became a part of our extended family. And as a young girl, I spent most of my free time either outside playing double dutch or at the studio dancing to the sounds of tap, jazz, and ballet. But in the 3rd grade, my world quickly turned upside down after my father was incarcerated. I was confused and embarrassed by this. Over the years, my dad and I cultivated our relationship through writing and our shared love for spoken word. I think it's important that when we talk about incarcerated folks, that we affirm the full identity of the people we speak about. My dad, Luis Fernandez, was a father, a brother, a friend, a mentor to younger inmates, and he was a gifted artist. There was a period during his incarceration where we went 6 years without seeing each other due to the physical distance between where I lived and his facility. Our form of maintaining communication was through written letters and exchanging spoken word. However, what I always looked forward to the most during the holidays were his handmade cards.
Oh, turn them up.
Honestly, in my opinion, Hallmark had nothing on my dad's cards. I always look forward to these.
Beautiful.
Flash forward, during my senior year of college on November 4th, 2011, my father died behind bars. Despite his battle with cancer, the judge had no compassion for my dad. The carceral system didn't just rob my dad from the opportunity to pursue his talents, it also robbed me from the opportunity to have my dad present at my college graduation and my wedding. As I wrap up my thoughts, because I am at time and there's so many other speakers here tonight, I think it's important for people to remember that the carceral system has deadly effects on the person serving, but also on the whole family, the whole community. I will never get the opportunity to reunite with my dad in the flesh, but I remain committed to spreading awareness about the impact of incarceration. And I hope that in this new year, you too will continue to take additional steps to further educate yourself and volunteer for organizations like the one I represent, We Got Us Now, RAP, and Transforming for Lives. Because in the end, it is up to us to preserve what is best about humanity and reduce what is worse about us. And as one of my Cheryl's, Angela Davis, once said, prisons do not disappear social problems, they disappear human beings. So let's all do our part to uplift all people, including those behind bars. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have Jamel calling in from Sing Sing. Phil and Jamel, let's hope this works. This is old-fashioned technology. Hi, Jamel. Jamel is going to talk about his experiences and then finding transforming lives. So you ready, Jamel?
Yes.
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay, hello. Right, I'll go now?
Yeah.
Can everyone hear?
Can everyone hear? Speak loud.
Can they hear me? Do I talk that loud?
Yeah, loud. Oh, Phil, is this on all the way loud? Go, Jamel, go.
All right. March 13, 2005, which was the day my little sister was born. It was also the day that my mother discovered that I was an active gangbanger. Somehow she found a letter that my father had wrote me from a New York State prison. After reading the letter, my mother thought my father was trying to initiate me into the blood. However, the content of that letter said more than my mother could possibly imagine. My father was offering me a key position within the blood, making me second in command of his set. At 16, how does one turn down such power, such respect? My mother looked at me and asked, what father in their right mind would want their child to be part of something like this? I could see the hurt, disappointment, and disgust on my mother's face. In that moment, I did not have the courage to tell my mother that I had joined the blood at the age of 12 years old. My father knew I was blood years before my mother did. When my father first found out that I was gangbanging, he demanded that I commit to him, which I did. I found myself sitting face to face with the men I admired and yet despised. My father was a guy who had spent my entire life in prison. He was never around for a birthday, any holiday, any special moment of my life. So I felt he had no right to tell me what I can and cannot do with my life. But yet he did anyway. He sat there and told me how I'm not going to be part of the blood, how I'm going to get out, or he's going to basically punish me and chastise me and do all of these things. I just looked at the man like he was crazy. My whole attitude was like, yeah, right, okay. However, and I told him how I felt, and he kind of understood where I was coming from. He realized that no matter what he said in that moment was going to deter me from being part of the gang that I wanted to be a part of, a gang that ruled my neighborhood, a gang that I thought was very impactful and just powerful and a bunch of cool people that I wanted to be like. Once my father realized that, and I seen the hurt in his face, he realized that he had lost me. The child that I was growing up to be was no longer. I became something else. I became someone else. In that moment, he simply said, listen, do you really want to be a part of this lifestyle? I told him yes. He then sat down, sat back, slouched in his chair, and then told me who he was. He told me that he was the godfather of this notorious set. And if I'm going to be a blood, then I have to be a blood under him. I was excited. I said, why not be under my father? I was shaped how to do this right. Which I now understand that there's no right way to do the wrong thing. From that moment, actually, me and my father just took off. Like, we became closer. We talked about things. I felt he understood me in ways that my mother could not. So that letter that my mother found was also a reward. And I already been in the blood for a few years at the time. I've done things to prove myself with the gang, and my father felt like, listen, I'm going to reward you with this new position, and you're going to be second in command. You're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of people under you, and you're in control. You have a big say-so on what happens with this day. However, that same reward will cause me to spend 20 years of my life in prison. Looking back, there was so much that I actually would have changed. I would have done differently. At the age of 22, I found myself sitting in a cell at Greenhaven Correctional Facility, thinking and saying to myself that I need to change. I can't continue to live like this. And it was a group of guys who literally said, no, you're going to college. You're not going to be in the yard, dipping and running. You're not going to be out here cake banging, robbing people, cutting people, doing all that. Like, you got a good potential, you got a head on your shoulders. Go to college. And I did. And that's why I met Cynthia. And she literally told me, listen, you're a writer. These are some of my work. And she saw something in me that I did not see in myself. She said, well, you can really write. Like, you really did take this seriously. And I believed her. So I said, okay. I started writing. And then over time, I was introduced to Transforming Lives, where she ended up being a writer mentor. And me and the writer mentor went back and forth for years. And she developed me as a writer. For a long time, I knew I had something to say, but I didn't have the language to say what I needed to say. Transforming Lives actually helped me develop the language, and it gave me an avenue and a venue to say what I need to say. Transforming Lives was the first organization to ever publish any of my writing. First organization who I still took a chance with me that no one else would have. I was turned down from a number of different publishers when I was trying to publish my book. But Transforming Lives supported me, they backed me, they gave me funding, and I'm really grateful for them. I appreciate everything that they've done for me. And this organization really helps people like me. And I'm grateful for them. I'm glad that I was able to find them and that they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
Thank you, Jamel. This is wonderful. Your friends are on. I hope your mother's on. Your mother, Cynthia. Jamel was also the editor and put together the first book, Scrolls from a Forgotten World. Jamel and his friend Sal Capone have a genius idea. Is it okay if I tell Jamel? Rewriting the Alcoholics Anonymous big book for people like themselves. It was written by an advertising executive for his banking friends, but not for people like Jamel and his friends. And this is a really exciting project that we're going to do. And thank you so much, Jamel. And I know your friends are here and we got to move on, but you're the best. Bye. Okay. Thank you, Jamel. Our next guest is Divine Allah, whose father did the artwork of the invitation that you all received. And so are you, here you are. Divine is calling, guys. You're calling us from work, right?
Yeah, I'm on work right now. I actually got like 2 minutes left in my break, so I gotta make this quick.
Okay.
So real fast, what was the question again? Like as far as like what is as far as like one
growing up, you know, growing up without a dad.
All right, so like so like for me, growing up without a dad was like it was an experience because like I didn't know. That's why like I kind of understand what Jose meant as far as like wanting to kind of be a part of their lives, but then like for the first 10 years of their lives, they didn't like truly understand like where he was at. So like that was like my problem. And my father's been in jail since I was like 1 or 2. So like I never had any type of time with him whatsoever when he was out. Like my older brothers did, but I didn't have that. So for me, it was always like I was always talking to him through spoken words and letters and stuff. But it was always that like that feeling, that urgency, like he was gonna come home eventually. And it was like it was just one year, I think I was around like 13 or 14 or something. I think I just got into high school and I was just like can you just tell me what happened? And like he explained to me what happened and whatnot, and I was just like, wow, like So like, and all this time that I sat there and thought like, oh, like you was gonna come home eventually and all this, that, and third, like that wasn't a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like that was that's when I could definitely say like my feelings as far as like towards my father had changed, because like I felt angry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like, that's why like I agree and disagree kind of with what Jose was saying as far as like how his kids felt about him after some time. Like, because like when I found that out, like I didn't blame nobody else but him. You understand what I'm saying? Like I didn't think that it was anybody else's fault, because I know the power of the mind, and I know that like all of us is really conscious and we're aware of what we do in our actions and everything. So like my biggest problem was that like, why would you choose that over your family? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do this but instead of that? So it's like when that time had came around where I was like able to like really like be comfortable and speak my own mind with him. I gave him a piece of my mind, like definitely. Like he knows like how I feel, whatever. Like I definitely want a relationship with him, you know what I'm saying, when he gets out and everything. But like for the first half of my life, like he messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed him to know that he messed up or whatever. Cause like we can't get that back now. I'm 23 now. I can't get back all them 20 years of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't go back in time. What I can do and I'm willing to do is move forward and like, you know, not necessarily squash stuff or whatever, because like that pain and that hurt is still there. Like the expectancy of like him coming home, going to parent teacher conference, like, you know, any of the other, you know, like incarcerated kids or whatever that's here. I know y'all pretty much understand, like going to parent teacher conference and then everybody else has both their parents there, or like one year or one semester the mom might come, next semester the dad might come. And it's like every year, every semester, my mom was coming to school, not my father. Like every year when I would introduce myself in the class or whatever, it was like, oh, like, what does your dad do? What does your mom do? Like, and I'm like, well, my mom does this. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like, well, my dad is like incarcerated. So like, it was definitely like a trial and experience growing up. Now for it though, like what I could understand and I know now, like, is to just be better. To like speak to my father and understand like where he made his mistakes at, and I try to make better decisions in that. I understand that things happen in a blink of an eye, and like a lot of things is uncontrollable. But I also do understand that like sometimes if you just take 30 seconds just to think about your actions before you do anything, before you say anything, that can go a lot further than you just reacting in a moment in time or whatever. So yeah, that's what I'm saying pretty much what I have to say. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. That was great. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Jeannie is our last guest before we go to our break in our Q&A. So,
hello,
hi
everyone.
there.
Hi, I want to thank everyone for taking time this evening to join us all to in sharing our message and our story. I know that from, you know, my family, we're really grateful for all of that. So my story is a little different. I am the wife of an incarcerated individual, and I've known my husband for a little over 24 years. It's going on 25 years, but I've only been married about 12 years. And that day was the happiest day of my life. I couldn't wait to tell everyone because I had met my soulmate. I truly did. And that was shot to hell immediately because I got pushback from my family. I got judged. I was sentenced to a time where I would be left alone, and I lived the life of a recluse. I was sure that my brother, who I was super close with, would not throw a party for me, obviously, right? But at least understand that as his sister, I have a good mind, I have a good judge of character, and that the decision was mine to make. And even though if he didn't agree with it, at least to support me, but instead I got kicked out of his house. I had a young daughter who was 3 years old at the time. He didn't care. He just didn't want me in his house anymore because I married a convicted felon. And he went on to go onto the computer, look him up, and then tell me some disgusting and vile things about my husband that he knew nothing about. If my brother didn't support me, who else was going to support me? So I just shut down. For many, many, many years, I just did not go out with my friends because I didn't want them asking me, oh, where's your husband? Why did you change your last name? Why are you Kelowna? So if you're married, where's your husband? I just didn't want to lie to them. And I didn't want to be upfront about it either. I went from work. I went to work. I came home to, with my little girl to visits and back. I didn't even attend family functions because at this point, my sister-in-law was more than happy to share the news that I was married to someone who's incarcerated. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, most of my family members are in law enforcement. They're either police officers or court officers or firefighters. And so it just goes to show the biasness of them having this career choice and just shitting on people, right? So now they have this badge, now they have a gun, they uphold the law, and everybody else on the other side of that is crap. And I was one of those. And I have to tell you that I was very content with being alone. Loneliness was my friend, and silence was my company. And I was okay with all that. I grew to not have my husband around for holidays because, once again, loneliness was my best friend and silence was who kept me company, And then I learned that courage was not the actual absence of fear, but the triumph over it. A brave person is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers the fear. So I conquered that fear. And I'm here before all of you, some that I know and some that I don't know, sharing my story and being completely open and vulnerable in telling you that life has not been easy at all. But I believe in what I'm doing now. I'm an advocate for the RAP campaign and the People's Campaign for Parole Justice. I share my story proudly and with absolute no remorse. I don't care what anyone has to say about anything because I know that my husband is an amazing individual. My husband is trying to create content with an I Am Okay If Mother Only Knew cognitive behavioral program, which is kind of ambitious, but I believe in him. And as a matter of fact, he was the one that led me here to Transforming Lives. He's a member. He fell in love with writing. And he is one of the authors in Jamel Brown's book that I put the link up. If you go to transforminglivesnewyork.org, you can get a copy for $20 donation so that you can hear the stories of these men behind prison walls that are amazing, amazing, brilliant men who deserve a chance at coming home through clemency, through a fair and timely parole hearing, so they can get out here and do the work that, that we're all here doing, right? Transforming lives, RAP, We Got Us Now. You're all amazing for being here. And I personally thank you all and thank you for listening to me. I'm no longer a recluse. You can't shut me up now. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to share my story in the hopes that someone in this group is afraid to speak up. Because you know what? You're in a loving community. We're going to embrace you. We're not going to judge you. And we're going to encourage you 100%. And through Transforming Lives, spread the news. Because you know what? There's going to be a lot of men and women that are incarcerated that are also going to fall in love with writing. And they're going to change their lives. So I thank you so very much and have a good night. Be blessed and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Brittany. Brittany, who is one of our great Transforming Lives members. And Brittany also has her writing partner on the phone with her. So can we switch over to Brittany?
Hey. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I actually have Jonathan on the phone. Jonathan, do you want to say hi?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Can you hear him? You heard him? Okay. Well, just to bring him to life for you all a little bit, I did bring a picture of Jonathan. This is from this summer. Oh, there you go. There he is. Okay.
Cute.
Cute. They said cute. I joined Transforming Lives in November of 2020, and I was paired up with Jonathan as my writing partner. And so we started our friendship off with a lot of handwritten letters to each other. I keep them very safely in a binder. You can see, sorry, Jonathan, you can't see them, but I do have all of his letters very safely tucked away, including all of the envelopes. I don't know why I'm saving those, but maybe we'll use them for something. So I want to tell you all a little bit about Jonathan. Some surface level facts are that he grew up in the Bronx. He's a Bard College student. He's a talented hairstylist who cuts and braids hair, sometimes for many hours a day. And I've heard that he's very good, although I haven't really been able to see his work yet. And just like me, he's a big fan of salt and vinegar potato chips. But anybody who's lucky enough to call Jonathan a friend will tell you that he's also one of the kindest and most thoughtful people that you could ever encounter in your life. He will literally burn himself out taking care of his friends. And if you're Jonathan's friend, then he considers you family. So, you know, whether he's helping out a fellow student with their writing or cooking a special meal for somebody, or making sure that my son had the coolest birthday card ever this year. Jonathan is always thinking about everybody else. And yeah, I'm showing them the rocket ship card, Jonathan. Super cool.
Wow.
So Jonathan's not only one of my best friends, but he's truly become a part of my family. There are not many days that go by where I don't hear from him, whether it's via the phone, email, and yes, sometimes the handwritten letters still. And I wouldn't want it any other way. In fact, he does know that if a couple days go by and I don't hear from him because of a lockdown or something, that I'm going to be over here freaking out a little bit. So he knows to call me as soon as that's over. Jonathan has completely changed my life by being a great friend, but also because he's made me unable to look away from what's happening in prisons. I can't just live in blissful ignorance of what's going on because now one of my best friends is in there. So I hope that those of you who are here and in the same position that I was in just a little over a year ago will consider taking the time to get to know the people that are in prisons, because I think it'll change your life as much as it's changed mine. And, you know, I never knew that I was going to meet my best friend this way, but it's been amazing for me. So, Jonathan, I don't know if you want to say anything. I'm putting him on the spot. He didn't actually know I was going to be talking about him, so.
Can y'all hear me?
Can they hear? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of like I am put on the spot, but I appreciate this opportunity. Transforming Lives has changed my life. Like Reggie pointed out, I met my best friend. But, you know, I think it's through writing that we got to really know each other. And it just kind of like amplified the experience that Transforming Lives offered us. Much thanks for Transforming Lives. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm literally like emotional right now.
Okay.
It's hard.
Brittany, we can't really hear.
But Transforming Lives kind of like offers me a light. My darkest moments. I appreciate them. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan.
That was beautiful. Brittany also is a professor at college and a professional nutritionist, and she's also very seriously looking into the food in prisons.
I have one other thing I just want to talk about quickly, just pivoting, sorry to interrupt. So I wanted to just give a quick shout out to some of our artists who are also some good friends of mine, Lamar and Hector. So both of these are extremely talented men that are involved in transforming lives. And we do have some of their sons here tonight with us. I know Hector's son is on the line, and Lamar's son, maybe multiple, are here. So Lamar created the illustration for the flyer for this event. And he actually just told me that he wanted to express how grateful he was to everyone's support. And he wanted me to share his motto for life with you all, which is give everything that you ask for. So I'm going to be sharing in the chat both Lamar and Hector's Fine Art America pages, as well as their Instagram handles. So if you guys want to check out their work, that would be awesome. And now I'm done talking.
Their work is really, really amazing. So I hope you do go to the chat room and check it out. Now we're at the break period. So now is when we move over. Where are we time-wise? Oh, we're not bad. We're only 15 minutes over. But now we ask you to ask your questions, you guys in the audience. Who's got a question? Now let's see who's in. Anybody in the chat room have a question? Everyone's so happy and just saying nice things.
I have a question, Cynthia.
Okay, great.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel. I'm one of the writing mentors with Transforming Lives. I just want to thank all of you for being here and just sharing. I've been sitting at my kitchen table, moved by the warmth and the vulnerability, and just the reality of your stories. And I just thank you. Jose, my question is for you. First of all, I will take you onto my meditation cushion with me and hope that your relationships with your children continue to repair. I work in Newark, New Jersey, in the education system, and I've talked with my writing mentors and Cynthia about how I think a big urban school district mimics the prison system in a lot of ways. And I see it with the babies all the way up through 12th grade. And Jose, when you spoke about adverse childhood experiences, which is obviously something you learned about while you were incarcerated, it is a very big thing in urban education. It's brought to the forefront a lot. And I think in some ways, there is some discussion that it pigeonholes kids. And so I was wondering, in your experience with your own children, how much you think that should be at the forefront of, let's say, like what an educator knows about a family or about a child, in terms of what that child may or may not be capable of doing in spite of that experience.
Well, there are programs now, Children of Promise. I'm a board member of a church that sponsors Children's Haven. These are programs that are designed to address the needs of children with incarcerated parents. This is something that we just can't ignore like it doesn't exist. It exists. Children are psychologically, emotionally, and maybe spiritually harmed by the absence of a parent in their lives, for sometimes just months. And we're talking about decades. And the more they live in silence, the more harm is created. So I just think that that's something that should be addressed when a child's going through elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Is your organization just local to where you live, or is that something that can happen on the internet, or how does that work?
Well, my organization addresses, criminal justice issues. We're not, I'm just saying that I'm a part of organizations that involve
Child Haven, you said it's called?
Children's Haven. It's in
Children's Haven.
Yeah, it's in the south side section of the Bronx, where they have reportedly to have 200 to 250 children in that little community that have an incarcerated parent.
I can imagine, again, just being an educator in Newark, every child that comes through either is directly impacted or has an uncle or a cousin. You know, it's very prominent. And so I imagine in the South Bronx, it's much of the same. Thank you for answering my question. And all of you, again, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really am so grateful to feel like I got to know you a little bit. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I just would like to say right now, we do have a surprise guest with us. Mr. Jabaris Dove has joined. Jabaris, we read your letter. And so would you like to, you know, it was very moving. Would you like to say something?
Sure. So I was released from work early today. I work at Crossroads, a youth detention center here in Brooklyn, Brownsville, New York. First of all, hello, everyone. I re-entered society a little over 6 months ago after serving 26 years in prison incarceration. I wanted things to happen faster than they have been happening for me, but I have been making a lot of progress. I am the owner of Active Daily Living, LLC, fitness program that was created for individuals who are in rehabilitation centers. I had a lot of doors slammed in my face and trying to secure a contract, but I never gave up. I'm persistent. I secured a contract with a well-known rehabilitation center. I won't say the name. And it's been very rewarding for me. It's not the type of contract that is going to change my life overnight, but it has allowed me to actually do the things that I pursued long before re-entering society. I created this while I was incarcerated, and I knew that once I got out, this was something I wanted to do. And,
Jabaris.
Yes.
Tell us how you got this idea when you were incarcerated. What were you seeing that made you think strength training could do something to kids who were possibly in trouble?
So being that I work out a lot, I know the benefits of working out, how it makes you feel. I came across an individual who was actually in a program for individuals who were suffering from mental illness. We were working out with these guys, trying to get them to cope with some of their anxieties. Along the way, I did a little reading, learned about serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and how it affects the brain, giving you a similar high as to using drugs. The story's much longer, but that's how I actually came across information. I was doing what I was doing long before I had the idea. And then once I had the knowledge of the benefits of working out, and I knew how to write just a little bit, I put together a proposal and hit the ground running.
Yeah, you think that people can get off heroin by doing strength training, right?
Absolutely. So I was working out with the guy who was actually attempting to free himself from the clutches of heroin addiction. We worked out together. There were many moments when he wanted to actually relapse. I'm not a certified clinician or anything like that, but I knew the knowledge that I had in relationship to using exercise, strength training to have a tool for individuals who are seeking recovery. And he just tested it out. He worked out with me. A lot of moments where he wanted to give up, I just pushed him. He was also a friend of mine, so it gave me a more, at a loss for the right word, but it gave me more enthusiasm to push him to actually attempt to use this tool for to use exercise as a tool to help him in his recovery.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's also been released. He was released maybe 60 days after I was released. We're still in contact.
I hope you hire him as someone to work for your organization.
I would love to. He's actually a full-time employee working with the same individuals he was working with while he was incarcerated, the individuals who have mental challenges. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know the right word to term it.
Well, I would like to ask Jose and Javaris if you would be willing to tell us the thing that surprised you the most when you came home.
Jose?
I grew up in Spanish Harlem. You know, that's where I spent all my childhood. And I went down to Harlem, the east side of Harlem, and I got lost. I couldn't believe it. I got lost.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
So I'm not from New York City, so I get lost every day. So I'm in your world, Jose. So the one thing that surprised me most for my reentering society is how much I miss the guys that I left behind. I was in prison for a majority of my life. My best friends I left behind. Some of my friends that reentered society before me, I'm still in contact with. It's just strange that I never thought that I would meet people who are incarcerated who had such great qualities. Individuals actually found themselves while they were incarcerated and became their actual best. Those are the guys I'm surrounded by right now. My first Christmas home was a little strange.
I read your thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. that was wild. That was wild.
May I say something? I'm sorry, Dove. I didn't mean to interrupt, but Blanco says hello. He's so proud of you and he's happy. He's so happy you're doing well. So he sends he misses you too. So that touched me. I felt that when you said that you miss the guys, because those are families that you create while you're inside and you never forget them. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Blanco is actually one of the smartest guys that I know as well. Highly intelligent.
Now, Javaris, you also said something really moving about what it was like to get a letter when you're incarcerated.
Yeah, letters. Brittany mentioned about her correspondence with. I know him. I know the person. I know that your writing partner. I was somewhere with him. We were acquaintance. We had a nice relationship. He was cool. So letters are they take on a different meaning for individuals who are incarcerated. Something tangible that you can hold. You can actually not just have to revisit it mentally, but you can actually take it up and hold it in your hand. And it takes time to write a letter, opposed to having the Twitter fingers that I have now. It's just it's a totally different experience. And the power of the written word is, as we all know, is amazing. And since I've been home, I've written a few letters to my wife. I've just been so consumed with chasing success that I still do write. Oh, sorry. So today, before I go on, I know I'm all over the place, but today in my
you're writing letters to your wife and you live with her.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So in my program today at Crossroads, I introduced to the young guys alliteration, and I gave them an example of what alliteration is. So in keeping in tune with who they are, the sentence that I used was, bad boys bring brilliance into the world. That was my sentence that I introduced to them. And I had them write the sentence down and take it back with them, just so they can see what alliteration is and actually create their own alliterations. So my goal is to use, I'm there for working out, I'm not there for education. But I understand that there's a discipline that is required in order to work out, and there's discipline required in order to be a successful writer, even if it's just putting a cohesive sentence together. So there's a union between the two. Today was my first day actually doing it. I thought of it, and I just did it. So I'm hoping it'll turn out to be a success.
Anybody, who else has a question? Jeannie?
I'm clapping. I'm clapping.
Oh, okay.
I'm just, you know what, Jabaris, keep doing what you do. And like you started something today, it moved you, you went with it. I think that's brilliant. You know, maybe you'll get people to think a little deeper, right? And to not just go to exercise just to be buff. You know what I mean? Because it does take discipline. And so that's a good thing. You know, maybe you got something in the works. Who the hell knows, right? You never know. You gotta go with it. You gotta go with it.
Hope so.
So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And welcome home. I know it's been some time, but welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we are right on time, folks. I really hope anyone who would like to get involved with Transforming Lives puts their name in the chat. They're also the names of these two other amazing organizations, RAP, Jose's RAP, which does such incredible work, and Jasmine's We Got Our Own, which is another incredibly important organization. I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much. Sorry, Jose, but you know, the other way around. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It was really special and wonderful.